Hello, world. Welcome to WFHR's Rapids Report, proudly brought to you by Crockett Septic for this July 10th, 2025. Have your host, James, here, and we're talking to a new old friend. The new name, just a different, new title, I should say, just the same old voice and fun personality. Joining us right now from UW Extension, Wood County, Ben Eberlein. Ben, how you doing? How's it been?
I'm doing wonderful. It's great to be here. Thank you.
I realize I haven't said your last name in a while, so I immediately, you can hear it in me. I caught myself. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Did I say that right? Did I get it right? Because I don't feel like I did.
Like riding a bike. You nailed it.
Thank you so much for being here, Ben. Ben is the new Human Development and Relationships Educator over at UW Extension. As Seth and I were talking about in the morning show this morning, they couldn't have found a better fit, a better person, especially with those shoes to fill. You're the right man for the job. And, certainly familiar with our audience, joining us for many years with a long time with the United Way. So a great fit from going from non to nonprofit here, I think. And they got not only the right man for the job, but Ben has hit the ground running. Sent me over some notes. We got plenty to talk about. Before we dive too deep into that, Ben, how is the transition going? How are you enjoying things with UW?
It's been really fantastic, and I'm so lucky to have been able to work with the United Way for a number of years and develop and build relationships in the community, because that has made the transition really smooth. And, I've been able to focus on, like you said, hit the ground running and getting programming going and diving into, learning a litof bit more about extension. And my gosh, there is so much. Even working with extension in the past and kind of knowing a bit about, what things that they offer and what they do in the community, I knew just, the tip of the iceberg. So it's been incredible.
There's no, we like to face things around here. We don't, skate over stuff, of course. This position it meant a lot because of the person behind it in so many ways, and Jackie and what she meant to all of us in this community, and certainly at Extension. I can only imagine. When it comes to the work, though, just touching on that and the work that she was doing and the topics that she would focus on and so many of those things, one of the things I would talk about with her all the time about was, oh, wow, that's one of those ones where there's a gray area. That we do such a good job in society, and especially our nonprofits, of covering this and this, but there's those gray areas, those things that slip through the cracks that we don't always get a chance to talk about and cover. And here Jackie would have those left and right and everything. And you send over your first notes for this, and I have to say that I was brought back. I was like, oh, we're doing it again. Here we are again. We're covering areas that need so desperately to be covered, but we don't always get a chance to in society, or we don't always think about it sometimes unless it's affecting us. And here we are, where three of the main topics we're going to discuss today, I think, are those areas, and just picking that ball up and running with it, man. And it's really cool to see. And just as important as all of that, these topics. I want to start with you, Ben, if you don't mind, with Rent Smart. What can you tell us about that for those especially that may not have heard of it before?
Yeah, and Rent Smart is not a new program, so there's a lot of folks that probably have heard about, but for folks who don't know or aren't aware of it, Rent Smart is it's a research-based curriculum that is really meant to help people who maybe don't have a lot of experience renting, or maybe they have some, but just to build essential skills, knowledge for not only what to expect when you're renting, how to find a rental unit that meets your needs, that is going to work for your budget. Learning what you can afford, because we know that the cost of rent isn't just the number that you see advertised, right? Like how much other stuff is in there. You move in, then you realize, oh my gosh, I got to pay for this and this and this, and the laundry machine downstairs doesn't work, so now I have to go to the laundromat, and it's $9 a load, and so there's so much involved in that. From learning budgeting and spending and diving into credit reports, and there's a whole financial aspect of how to improve your credit, because that's a huge impact on how you can what's available to you to rent. And I could go on and on.
I was going to say, and you could probably spend hours and hours just on that latter topic right there about your credit score and some of that. It's something that our schools do an amazing job. They also have a ton on their plate, and there's only so much that they can cover or do. And when it comes to, again, these gray areas, or these little things that we don't think as much about sometimes, even just something simple as, oh, we're renting. That's pretty basic. That's pretty simple. Or maybe you've seen a TV show or a movie where you've seen characters do it, so you feel like you understand it. I think a lot of us do. And then there's the real lifeness of it, and all the things that you mentioned there, and so many things that we wouldn't think about if it wasn't for a program like this. I really would recommend almost any young person that is getting ready to get out on their own or something like this. I would also recommend it to landlords and to people that are thinking of renting out, or even people that are looking at B&B work or something. My grandfather was a landlord. He was an attorney, and he was a landlord on the side. And I miss him, and I love my grandfather a lot. I don't think he was a great landlord. I don't think he was very good at it. I think he was kind of mean, I think, in some ways and everything. And I think that it'd be a great idea for them as well to learn more about the other side of this and what it is to be a tenant and what's asked of tenants in this day and age, as much as people who want to rent and want to get out there, especially first-time people. But there's so many things that you guys are going to be able to cover here that are not thought about oftentimes, especially to people looking at renting for the first time. There's so much on your plate, and there's so many things and exciting things that take your attention. Where am I going to put the couch? Where am I going to put the video game system or any of these things? I'm so old.
You're old. I'm about to say pivot.
You're right. Yeah.
That's going to date me.
But man, a security deposit. I mean, that's one of those things. I'm just thinking, as somebody, my whole background was renting. My parents rented up until we moved out here, and they finally had their first home. But in my childhood, and up until I was out of the house even, we were renting. So I had quite a bit of familiarity with renting, and still had no idea, once I first rented my first apartment, a security deposit and some of those things. This program could really help people set them up to succeed.
Well, especially with the supply of housing these days. I mean, over the last few years, the market has been a real challenge for most people. And so I think the natural solution there is, buying a house right now, not feasible. So renting makes a lot of sense. But how many times, have you done something like, man, I wish I would have known before, So I think that's where this class, it's really fantastic. It covers so many of the bases of, things that you wouldn't think of that you need when you're renting. Like I said, finding a place. Do you know what's your first instinct for where to find a place these days? Go to online, Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scams are insane these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, and they're getting worse and worse in terms of how realistic and believable. And it's not just grandma and grandpa who click on the wrong thing these days. Literally anybody can very easily lose a lot of money because of a housing scam. And just to try and take some of the stigma away from that, because it is so common. But anyway, so that's just one thing that that I think most people might not think of when you're thinking, I just do a Google search, or I do a Facebook, I find it.
I think too, to your point on that, it's not one of those things that we always, when we think of, we got to worry about scams. It's not something that we think about right away. Scams with this industry. So that's another great note about that. If people are interested in taking the Rent Smart class, is there a certain time frame that it's existing in, or anything like that?
Hey, thanks. Yeah. So first of all, it's free. So
right on. Yeah, got to mention that. Yeah.
But yeah, we are offering Rent Smart in person. If you'd want to knock it out and get that done in a one afternoon, you can take a look at we have a schedule of this monthly through November that we'll be offering that both in Wisconsin Rapids and in Marshfield at the public libraries, and that's happening at the last. So for Marshfield, it's the last Wednesday of the month, and for Wisconsin Rapids, it's the last Friday of the month. So like I said, the full schedule, and you can register. All that's online at the Extension website. And I did also want to just come back. I think it was super insightful the way you mentioned, this isn't just for renters, but landlords too. Mm-hmm. So there is a Rent Smart for landlords that we offer as well. So I don't have any currently necessarily in the pipeline, but I just want to mention that it's so insightful. Yeah. That's part of why I love talking to you, because
It's a great program, and it's only going to be stronger getting both sides of these kind of things and being able to cover that, help both sides with this kind of information. And I think that the majority of people out there that are in that industry, whether renting and being landlords and stuff, you got a lot of good ones out there. And sometimes it's just a matter of knowing some of this information, or having somebody that can even hear you out on something that you're not sure of. So a program like that, a class like this, is going to be very helpful for a lot of of people. Again, we'll give you the information of how you can find out more about it before we wrap up. Planning ahead. I wanted to talk about this 7-session research-based program that you're involved with, Ben.
Yeah, and this is something that I'm still learning so much because planning ahead is all about kind of planning for end of life and making sure that you have your wishes for even after you're gone, and making sure things are go the way that you want them to, and the whole everything involved in that. And I don't know about you, but when I think of that kind of thing, I'm like, I have a will, I'm good, right? Wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much that's involved with, all the advanced directives. And, when you want things done a certain way after you're gone, you can't just have that, like you mentioned, like in the movies and TV, you see like somebody just scratches something on a piece of paper and it's like, well, this is their last will and testament. Well, no, not how it works.
No.
But there's so much else that like legally it's all legal processes that you have to follow. And once you're gone, you can't tell people what you want. And
so much of this, one of the things that we encourage when it comes to making sure that you have your will filled out, you have your estate planning and so many of these things done, is so that you can do it and then it's done and you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you can move on and you can get that uncomfortable topic out of the way and all those things. But it only works if you do it right, if you get it done right. And so many people, it's understandable because of TV, movies, and so many of these things. And I'm not blaming them. It's a pretty movie can only be so long. Even nowadays with 3-hour movies, if you had them as long, if you actually went through this process in a movie, it would take days. So you'd be watching that movie. You'd still be watching that movie probably. When it comes to real life, it's understandable that not everybody knows all these things, and especially we've spent so many decades. Think about how many decades we've been doing this thing called life, and doing this here in America, and we the whole time we've been uncomfortable with death. We're very uncomfortable talking about this. There are certain topics that it's amazing to think of that we've talked about or had TV shows or movies about or whatever, and yet this one we just we're not that comfortable with. We're just now in recent years, maybe even in the last decade, getting to a more comfortable place, and we're still uncomfortable talking about it. And it's understandable. I don't say I'm uncomfortable talking about it. I'm not any different than anybody else out there, but I face it and I talk about it because of the importance of it. And in part because I'm spoiled, I get to talk with you people like Ben and our people at UW, and this topic has been brought up a lot in these conversations. I know that for my mom and dad, the relief in their faces when they got all of this all these checked off, all these boxes, I can't express to you, and especially for my mom and dad, who the majority of my life I've seen them stressed and tense. And in retirement, I was really hoping that they wouldn't experience as much of that stuff. And they have from time to time, but with this one, it was relief. There's a relief involved with knowing that these things are taken care of, that your legacy is taken care of, that your children, the people you care about, maybe your significant other, are taken care of. And I don't mean necessarily on what they're going to get from the will or something like that. The peace of mind of knowing that they did right by you and you did right by them. The idea that, okay, this is it for me. This is the last thing I'm going to really be doing or involved with. And the heaviness of that being done right and knowing that those boxes are checked.
Yeah, and to that point too, I think of back to my childhood, and my grandfather's gone too now, but I can't count the number of times where I heard him say something like, just put me in a pine box and throw me out,
Yep.
And I think the mindset is, one, taboo, absolutely, but also you don't want to be a burden, and you don't want to have to, but on the other hand, if you don't get this stuff taken care of ahead of time, that you're creating more of a burden for your loved ones.
That is so much more a burden. And as uncomfortable as it can be sometimes to talk about it, much like I think a dark alley, once you get in it, it's actually not as dark as it looked like from the outside.
Right.
Once you get talking about this topic, I think the ball starts rolling. You get through things relatively, I wouldn't say fast or quick or anything. I don't want to say that, but I do think you get through this a lot faster than you would think. And look, once you get done with this, if if you do this right, you don't have to talk about it every day. You got this done. You got these things taken care of. There are different things as far as like understanding grief that do take much more time or something like that. And that is also available with this. I wanted to make sure to mention, and is a part of this. But when we're talking about filling out a will or making sure that certain other things are done, this program this class is so helpful in that, and it really gives you time with it. I like that it's 7 class. I like that it's spread out the way it is, and you really have an opportunity to really talk with these individuals, work with them on it, and answer questions, because there's always, again, gray area. There's always questions that we don't see coming. They're like, hey, and it comes up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the density of information is. I don't know if you could really do it in less than 7, sessions. So it is really, there's so much. But I think also, just to point out, like, this isn't just something that is important for seniors or people who are kind of approaching that second half of their life, or that. I don't know if we were talking earlier. It's like it can be anybody's time at any time, and especially like I said with I've got a couple kids and I've got a will, and I thought I was okay, and it's like there's so much other stuff to consider and to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But anybody with kids, anybody that's an adult, anybody who has an aging parent, like you don't have to be approaching those, twilight years. Is that the word?
Yeah. You can be like Ben and I in your early 20s. And no, I'm joking.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's radio. I thought I could fool them. No, in all seriousness, it's such a great point to bring up. Even people in our age ranges and everything. And we're talking anywhere from your 30s to your 50s, what have you. I'm just thinking of that break where we don't necessarily think about this, but that's a great time to do that. And say you fill out a will in your 30s, it doesn't mean that you can't go back and edit and do different things with the right people, the right, obviously the right attorneys and all that. You can still go back. It's not etched in stone. It is something, though, that you want something like that etched in stone in case you do not be able to go back or anything. You need something in place, and it's the best thing to do for your loved ones. Yeah. This program really gives you a chance. There's a great PDF, a downloadable PDF with this, so you even have this stuff to look back on as you go along. It's a great idea to check out. And again, this program, Ben, when is this available for people?
So, and I didn't mention with RentSmart as well. So both of these, we are, at Extension doing our best to make sure this is accessible for anybody in the state. And so if folks go on our website, you're going to find a page where all of our virtual courses are available. So we'll have some options where anybody in the state can attend virtually, when that's scheduled. So you can register for those online. I don't have any planning ahead courses in the works immediately right now, but looking at hopefully this fall should be able to get that up and running, because like I said, there's a real density of information, and I don't want to, as much as I want to hit the ground running, I don't want to start trying to teach something that I'm not personally fully comfortable with the curriculum. So unfortunately going to wait a little bit for that one, but like I said, yeah.
If there's people hearing this and they really want to be a part of that class, I encourage you to reach out to Ben, and we'll give you that information later, and he can let you know when those classes start up.
Yeah, please do.
Reach out or something.
And just, I don't know if we walk through everything that's involved in planning ahead, but just in case it's unclear, there's in those 7 modules. So financial changes, advanced, both medical and legal advanced directives, estate planning, all the different choices that are involved in end-of-life care. How to make sure that your final wishes are done the way that you want them to. And you mentioned grief, and we do dedicate a whole module to understanding grief. I mean, this is not only is it a bit of a taboo topic, but it is heavy, and a lot of people who are going through planning ahead, at the time that they choose to do it, a lot of times you don't think about taking swim lessons until all of a sudden you're struggling in the water. Yeah. Can be the same thing with this, where maybe somebody just lost a loved one, and that's why they're thinking about, oh my gosh, this is really important. I need to do this. So it can be really heavy.
Well said. Very well said. As we're wrapping up, Ben, we wanted to touch on one other class that you're going to be involved with, and that's the financial wellness at work. Again, another one of those things that we don't, talk about or think about a whole lot in society, but it's a really important one, and it's only getting more and more important as we go forward here.
Thank you so much for bringing that. I am so excited about financial wellness at work, and how many times you might have to take off your shoes and socks to start counting, but how many times have we talked about Alice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're so right. Yeah. We quite a few. I don't know if I have enough digits. Yeah.
Exactly. So financial wellness at work it's just revolutionary in my eyes. It makes so much sense when you think of, folks who, are making ends meet. You have people who are working, but maybe not doing the best that they can financially. And, how do you get resources and support to those people in the best, most efficient way? And a lot of folks probably, especially if you are working, maybe multiple jobs or whatever it might be, in that type of a situation, the last thing you think you probably have time for is I'm going to meet with a financial planner, and I bet I can take time off to go do that and pay the premium to yada yada. Right?
Yeah.
Financial wellness at work is designed to be a collaboration between community. Some sort of community support, like in this case, could be Extension, could be something like United Way, it could be, some sort of connector piece that's able to provide some support, employers, and ideally a lender. So I'll get to that piece in a little bit. So financial wellness at work, the heart of it is bringing resources, information, and support into the workplace for workers to access that. We have all sorts of, just in terms of basic resources, we have Grow Your Green workbook. So it's a hard copy of it's a resource workbook that has information and different, handouts and resources, things that people can use to not only like you're talking about some of the other topics about budgeting and spending and credit and all that kind of stuff is in there, but also we ideally want to get somebody in that workplace that's able to help people one-on-one with financial coaching. You're going to have a lot of employers might have benefits or various other healthcare and retirement, all this kind of stuff that you get some education from the employer, but it doesn't mean you always fully understand your options or other things that you need outside of that.
Well, and I can say from talking with a lot of people in that position, sometimes you're worried too, is that information tainted? Is that information biased or anything? Getting information from a nonprofit, getting information from UW, Extension and everything, you're knowing you're just getting the information. There's nobody in the pocket of this. There's nobody trying to lean things one way or the other, like we worry about with money and finances all the time. This is also, if you're worrying about money, if you're trying to make more money or trying to be smart with your money, having to pay a financial advisor seems like almost a bit of a biting off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. Whereas with this is a free program. This is something that's available to everybody, and it's something that I feel like there's no downside to this. Not that there is with any of these programs, but with this one in particular, where I feel like it reaches such a wide range of people and ages and all that. You take in these classes, what you learn. If you don't learn anything, it's at least now and you can check that box off. You understand that. But I almost guarantee you're going to be able to pick up some notes or some things from this that's going to be very helpful to you.
And really, this program is about reducing barriers and meeting people where they're at, right? Because you don't have to find transportation and childcare and all these, and just the time in your day to go attend a class. If we can just put resources in your workplace, table tents in the lunchroom, so that while you're eating, you can look at some info. We have Money Matters. You've probably heard of from Jackie in the past. A self-paced online course. So in your free time, you can do that. But this really, we're looking for employers to partner with that are interested, because this is the kind of stuff that it increases. Reduces. It can help people reduce their debt. It can help people feel more comfortable about their finances, which reduces stress, which is increases their productivity, increases retention, so that employers aren't having to constantly, it's how many people have you talked to? It's like, man, we can't hire. We're trying so hard. Well, you're going to have lower turnover, and that's better financially for the company too. I mean, it sounds kind of greasy to say, but when you're talking about motivation, but in reality, you should be yeah, this is a good thing for our employees, so we want to do that. But
most businesses, and especially when we're talking rural communities like ours and everything, I do believe that a lot of them are run by good, caring people that care about their
Absolutely.
employees. Even with that consideration, not even talking about big conglomerates or anything like that you're just a number to them or something. I mean, even on the ground level of a mom and pop places, there's only so much they can do, and they can't tell you what to do with your money, of course, or anything like that. And that's, quite honestly, it's not always their job to. You would, in the past, the way it was and everything. The more and more we're going forward with this, the more that you not only hear from people having a hard time finding employees because of pay, but also because of added benefits or other things that the younger generations are they're not settling. They want this or they're not doing it. Here is an added benefit that you can offer. You're a business. You're a part of this. You get to show the community. You get to show to employees and future employees, I care about you more than just a number. I care about more than just the product you give me or the product you make or the product you sell or what have you. I care about you as a human being. And that is something that more and more people are looking for. We saw this during the leave of the pandemic and during the pandemic of a lot of people going from jobs to careers and taking maybe a couple bucks less to do it. And now this has evolved into more of the added benefits that people get from a job. And I think a lot of employers out there think that means health insurance or dental insurance, and those things are very important. But people are looking for, do you care at all? Do you see me as a human being? You don't have to treat them special. You don't have to have kid gloves with them or anything, but they just want to be seen as a person and not just a number or a digit or anything like that. When you are a part of something like this, if you're a business, you are showing people right away that I care about you, right away that you're more than that to me. So to businesses out there, I would be jumping on this and, hey, yeah, put my name on this. I want to be a part of something like this. I think we can certainly see from an employee perspective, especially for you and I, where we come from and all that stuff and everything. Right. We're on the ground level here. We know what it's like to be hustling and looking for a good job or something like that. When we're younger, those kind of things. When it comes to that, I think that it makes a lot of sense for anybody out there, whether you're at a job for 10 years or you're just starting. But to businesses out there, I hope they're seeing this. I hope they're seeing this from that angle of, whoa, here's a completely awesome way for me to show future employees or my current employees, I give a dang. I'm here to, I care. And you're showing it with a program like this.
So you have so skillfully and masterfully cut to the core of this program, because I haven't even mentioned my favorite part, the most exciting thing. This whole program, Financial Wellness at Work, wouldn't have really, I don't think, been formed if it weren't for Rhino Foods in Vermont. And so exactly to the point that you're making, they, kind of a mid-sized company with, very similar to the kind of community that we have, when we think of the paper mill industry and the community. And so they had, a couple hundred, employees similar, a lot of workforce similar to what we see in our community, where a lot of Alice individuals, very hardworking people. And what happened was they were struggling with a little bit of things like turnover, and you'd have people that are missing jobs or missing work because a minor crisis, they don't have emergency savings, car breaks down, whatever it is, and then they can't come to work, and then that snowballs. And so the owner of the company, exactly what you're talking about, of we want to do right by their people, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of the people who are making your company run. And they said, how can we do this better? And the answer was what has become part of the Financial Wellness at Work program, called employer-sponsored small dollar loans. So they said, okay, your car broke down. Why don't we loan you a little bit of money, and then we'll just take a little bit out of your paycheck until that's paid off. And so what that developed into, this employer-sponsored small dollar loans, is genius. Mm-hmm. So that's where the lender part comes in. We can find employers that want to participate in this, great. But if we have a lender that also wants to partner with that employer, and then they can, if one of their workers has an issue like that, instead of somebody that doesn't have emergency savings, that might not have good credit, that may not have the option to go to a bank to get a loan, they might have to go to a predatory lender or something like that. So instead of driving those people into a bad solution, through the employer-sponsored small dollar loan program, the lender that we partner with is able to offer a emergency loan that's capped at less than $2,000. So it's not like some major.
It's really cool.
At a minimum of 6 months to pay it back, and how that works is essentially, and it's low interest, right? Or the interest is good. But essentially, how that works is they set up a savings account for that person. Then it's automatic deduction from the paycheck goes into that savings account, and that's used to pay off the loan. Now, this is like, here's the mind-blowing part, because that sounds really simple, right? So if you go to a predatory lender and all that, your credit is probably going to go.
Yeah.
By doing this is one, it's going to help build their credit if they don't have any. It's going to help improve their credit. And then not only that, that savings account and that pay deduction is going to continue unless they opt out. So that's going to build them a pot of emergency savings for the future.
What an awesome program. That is awesome.
Mind-blowingly, like, so simple but so genius at the same time. And some of the, I should have brought some of the testimonials, because some of the stories from, when they first got this going in Vermont was, you have people who, they didn't have any credit, they'd never have a savings account, and within a couple of years, like the one individual, I was like, had tears in my eyes reading this. They were able to buy their first house.
It's amazing.
How wild.
I would love to, the next time we get together, Ben, I'd love to hear some of those testimonials, certainly talk more about these programs. And when it comes to these classes that are available to people and they want to find out more about them or be a part of them in any way, especially the latter part of what we're talking about, this last one, how can people reach you? How can people find out more?
Feel free to give me a shout on, pick up the phone, 715-421-8440. So that's just the number 2 extension. And you can call, ask. Feel free to stop by the courthouse. Come on down for lunch by the river or something, and walk a couple blocks till let your food settle, and come in and say hi.
We definitely will be saying hi to you again very soon, man. It's great to be talking with you again. Great to see you. Say hi to everybody over at Extension for us, and we'll talk again real soon.
Thank you so much, James.
Thank you. And thank you, audience. We appreciate you joining us for another edition of WFHR's Rapid Support, proudly brought to you by Crockett Septic here at WFHR.com.